there, Tundra Nation, and welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what that secret desire for a specific boomstick reveals about your deepest, darkest personality quirks? Yup! Well, buckle up, folks, because we're about to embark on a ballistic psychoanalysis journey that'll make Freud look like a weird, pervy Austrian gunsmith. So sit back, ask yourself what that pickle in your dreams last night was all about, and let's start the show. Welcome to the world of the midlife crisis commando. Now, this guy's sense of style screams, "I'm trying way too hard," louder than Lucas Botkin running in skinny jeans. His camo pattern of choice is Dazzleflage because when you look fabulous, you shoot fabulous, obviously. But let's talk about the real reason that we're all here, his arsenal, because this guy does not just collect guns, he curates a Pinterest board of pew-pews. His gun safe is like a sampler platter of whatever YouTube's tactical flavor of the week was, from the latest piston-driven Cerakoted ambidextrous wonder rifle to a quirky bullpup that looks like it was designed by somebody on a 3-day vodka and Red Bull binge. He's got it all. He doesn't just drink the Grand Thumb Kool-Aid, folks. He freebases it. His version of training is less about the skill and more about the optics. Of course, meaning about how good he looks. He walks up to his plush gun club with his monogrammed gun bag in tow, and he sets up with all the pomp of a royal tea party. Once he's done meg dumping your own personal wealth downrange, he's gonna saunter on over to the clubhouse, tipping his tactical fedora to the staff while knocking back whiskeys like they've got vitamin C and electrolytes in them, all the while contemplating which Gucci pattern his next AR should be this year.
I haven't cried like that since Titanic.
Whoo! Oh boy, and his dream gun, well, that's gonna be the unobtainable, the mystical holy grail of HK that's rarer than a tasty MRE. Yeah, you guessed it, it's the full auto MP7. What's his master plan to snag this unicorn, you might ask? Well, of course, it's becoming besties with every NATO procurement officer in hopes of rescuing a wayward piece when Europe goes hot. You know, cause nothing spells sticking it to the Ruskies quite like a 5-figure gun that accidentally got lost in the bureaucracy. Ah yes, of course we have the Florida man, the legend himself up next, part-time alligator wrestler, full-time patron saint of bad decisions. His love affair with Soviet hardware rivals the teenage angst in a John Hughes flick. You better believe he's gonna be decked out in Kalashnikovs, but if you ask him about communism, he'll spit out his Four Loko and tell you the world would have just been a better place had Truman let General Patton continue marching on east until he was smoking a cigar in Red Square, greasing his tank treads with the Politburo. Florida man is fiercely proud of where he's from and is ready to defend Florida at all times. Now, we're not really sure what he's defending Florida from, but we suspect it is other Floridians. His preparations are a bit strange, with a training regimen consisting mostly of digging tiger pits and outrunning cops in his 1987 Buick Grand National. When it comes to battle attire, our boy keeps it breezy. His tactical loadout consists of loose-in-the-crotch cargo shorts because nobody ever fought well with swamp nuts, and a t-shirt he got for free at a Ted Nugent concert back in 1999, not to mention that thick mane of hair that looks perfect in those windswept Instagram pics. This man's ammo choices are about as no-nonsense as his diet. If it ain't steel, it ain't real. Brass casings are for guys who use the elliptical machine at the gym while slurping down kale smoothies through a paper straw. His drink of choice is whatever you're having, as long as it's tequila, bourbon, or magic mushrooms. What's his dream gun, you might ask? Well, it is pure Americana. It's a CMMG Mark 47 Descent chambered in 7.62x39 because he'd like a rifle manufactured by a real American rather than a conscript factory worker 620 miles east of Moscow, whose only joy in life is getting blackout drunk on days that end in day. He loves America, but he also thinks that if Florida, Texas, and Alabama teamed up and left the Union, they'd have everything they need, including the best college football. Speaking of CMMG fans, they're also the sponsor of this video. Well, CMMG is not the fan, so make sure to channel your inner Florida man and go check out CMMG and their Descent line of bufferless pistols and rifles, including the brand new Mark 47 or any of their other products. I've gotten to shoot both the original Mutant and the Mark 47, and I can tell you the improvements are noticeable. If you want a firearm robust enough you don't need customer service, go with CMMG and aim to be different. The link is down there, folks. You know you want to click it. Go ahead, do it.
Do it.
Let's talk about our dear friend, the retired Army paratrooper. This is the guy whose knees retired from active duty way before he ever did, courtesy, of course, of the Golden Knights knee replacement program. He signed up dreaming of soaring in the skies, but little did he know the Army's idea of airborne was less cool paratrooper and more human lawn dart. Now he's got to explain to his bewildered chiropractor how his spine suddenly resembles a game of Jenga with a few pieces missing. Not to worry though, the VA assures him that his limp, back pain, and being 2 inches shorter than when he joined the military are all not service connected. The VA doc speculates it's all that crisp, non-barracks air that he's been breathing since he left the Army. You know, the kind missing that thick scent of communal BO and weapons grade veggie MRE fart smells? Yeah, that one. Despite it all, ask him about the Army and he's gonna bleed green, which is another thing the VA assures him is not service connected. These days, he's chasing that bygone era of mil-spec glory with reverence for early 20th century steel. His hands may shake a bit from too many rough landings, but his eyes light up at the very mention of his dream gun, a Singer 1911 A1. Whoo, boy, this thing is the holy grail for a guy who values the charm of yesteryear's craftsmanship over things like capacity, not jamming when you actually need it, or things that help you aim properly. But let's give credit where credit's due. Holding one takes him back to a time where the words tactical and beard were not paired together quite so liberally. In the end, the retired Army Airborne's dream gun might not be the most practical choice, but if guns were judged by the stories they tell us, that Singer, well, it'd be an instant bestseller, just like our guys' service tales at Secrets Cabaret. Stay classy, bud. Meet our next dream gun subject, the CIA alleged contractor. Having dodged bullets and navigated espionage across the globe, our friend has traded international intrigue for the equally treacherous waters of corporate security. His transition from covert operations to boardroom briefings has been, let's say, a work in progress.
Harry,
What?
it's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
For example, this year's holiday card from him read, "Merry Christmas, you're blissfully unaware of the global calamities I've averted. Enjoy the new year, assuming we all make it." Well, I suppose that's a tad dramatic, I think, for the holiday cheer, but it's the thought that counts, right? His corporate strategy? Well, it's a little unorthodox. In a recent team meeting aimed at discussing competitive strategies, he casually proposed a synchronized decapitation strike on the company's top rivals. The room, of course, erupted in laughter at what they assumed was a funny joke. Realizing his unique brand of problem solving might not be the best fit, he swiftly aborted the mission, texting his standby squad a no-go order before anybody could ask for questions. On a personal front, he's got a thing for nurses from trauma wards, seeking out an adrenaline rush of the unpredictability that comes with the territory. He jokes that their penchant for tire slashing keeps him on his toes, ensuring that his survival instincts remain sharp, with the bonus of always replacing his tires before they get too worn. Plus, there's the added chance of life-saving CPR right after his next heart attack, provided he's not in the doghouse for leaving his socks on the floor. His weapon of choice? Well, it's a Khyber Pass AR AK hybrid Frankengun, a real testament to his disdain for the mundane. I mean, sure, a Mark 47 would be a reliable choice, but where's the thrill and functionality? Our contractor craves the unpredictability of a firearm that's as much of a wild card as his life. Meet our local wannabe desperado, the guy who thinks Red Dead Redemption is less of a game and more of a career option. This modern-day anachronism is likely to challenge you to a duel on Main Street over a sour deal on eBay. He's a 30-year-old with the same strapping physique as John Wayne had at 50. He's got that "I've been riding a horse before I could walk" swagger, but that also potentially could be diabetes impacting his balance. It's kind of hard to tell, so it's best to keep some insulin and dextrose handy. His playlist is pure cowboy ballads, and he's convinced that Waylon Jennings is narrating his life. His dream gun? Well, it's the mare's leg and 350. Why? Really, why? I mean, it's 7, sure, it's 357, but let's be honest, it's about as practical today as a payphone. He romanticizes the good old days when men were men and sheep were nervous, which is why his daily shower occurs monthly. Now, he's a throwback to the American West for sure. Walking around town, he certainly turns heads. His daily fashion consists of a 10-gallon Stetson cowboy hat on his 8-gallon head, some leather chaps and a vest, both fringed of course, and spurs that jangle when he stops by the diner for his morning slice of pie. He's nice enough so nobody in town asks him why he needs spurs to drive his 1998 Ford Escort around, but I digress. While his mare's leg is a nod to Steve McQueen's sidearm and Wanted Dead or Alive, our boy is more wanted at the DMV as he keeps forgetting to renew his license. In a world of 30-round magazines and polymer frames, he's meticulously polishing wood furniture and brass receivers, pining for the day that he'll defend his homestead from cattle rustlers, although I believe the closest he's ever going to come to livestock is the petting zoo at the Denton County Fair. Now, our guy might not be quick on the draw in real life, but don't you dare say that to his face or he'll kindly ask you to please refrain. After all, he's not just a gunman, he's a gun gentleman, a tip of the hat included. We've done 2 hat tips in this video. I don't think I've ever done a hat tip before. If you spent every waking hour this month binge watching SHOT Show 2024 coverage, yet your dream gun is still the Glock 19X, you're the vanilla ice cream of the gun world. Bless your beige, fleece-covered heart. Folks, let's meet the basic, the guy who dreams of standing out but is also scared of his own shadow. He's the type of guy that joins the Glock herd for safety, seeking the comfort in the middle of the pack where the predators can't spot him amongst the sea of mediocrity. The basic aspires to be just like the rest of us, fearing that unique is just another word for target. In high school, while others aimed to be quarterback, the basic had loftier dreams, the glory of being the timekeeper. He's the guy whose idea of a wild Friday night includes indulging in a glass of lukewarm water filtered through his Brita, and when things get crazy, he pops a room temperature O'Doul's because why risk the hangover? His culinary highs peak with a plate of buttered noodles unburdened by flavor, accompanied by the dry toast that is his personality incarnate. He sends birthday cards that are on plain white paper folded in half with the "This is the annual acknowledgement of your birth" message typed in the most nondescript Arial font, because why bother with serifs when you can embrace the mundane? The Basic's favorite football team? Well, it's gotta be the Cleveland Browns, but even he thinks the helmets are a bit too ostentatious. I mean, couldn't they have just worn a more matte beige? His decision to buy the 19X after a raucous evening involving a wine cooler and an unruly sleeve of digestive biscuits might just be the most adventurous thing he has ever done. Picking the 19X, even over the standard 19, feels to him like he's just free soloed El Capitan. Watch out, world. The Basic is upgraded to plain yogurt from sugar-free vanilla. Hello, my friends. Step into the neon-lit layer of the influencer, where firearms fashion swings faster than moods on a reality TV show. This guy is the bleeding edge of gun culture, so avant-garde that his collection is basically a graveyard of high-concept rifles in calibers you've never heard of. It's an exotic arsenal curated for likes, not for the likes of you. This guy has been to so many gun shows and VIP events, he is a walking, talking swag bag, a patchwork of brand endorsements. I mean, why buy clothes when your wardrobe is a free historical timeline of the tactical world? And yes, it's all chronologically accurate, right down to the last promotional Nalgene bottle from the days before FPS Russia became a cautionary tale. His dream is always one step ahead, the firearms equivalent of a concept car. It's so exclusive that it exists only in the hushed whispers of forums, shrouded by non-disclosure agreements. He can't even talk about it without his lawyer present. But for now, his favor swings to whichever gun graces the thumbnail of his latest sponsored post. Remember, viewers, you heard it here first, because the influencer is shooting tomorrow's guns today, and he's just dying to tell you all about it. Right after a word from today's sponsor. If your dream gun is a Barrett M82 or M107 or whatever they're calling it these days, then you are most likely trailer trash or trailer trash adjacent. I mean, all you're going to use the 50 cal for is to shoot trash at 50 yards and to show it off to people who don't want to see it. You want this thing really more as a status symbol of bigger is better, and mine is the biggest, but we all know what that really means. Don't worry, I'm sure your wife/cousin thinks it's the perfect size. She did say her ex Darren's was pretty painful. The only only way you'll ever be able to afford one of these things is if you convince her to have a 5th child with you and then use your tax returns irresponsibly. Another year of ramen for the family isn't too bad of a price to pay to have something that requires at least a $5 bill to fire even one time. I'd give you some financial advice, but let's be honest, you've already stopped watching this video because your other cousin called to tell you about a new stop sign in town that you haven't shot yet. Subscribe!